For me, the two main keys to making authentic soul samples are sound selection and imperfection. I'll explain the imperfection part in just a bit. As far as sound selection goes, you gotta make sure your sound source is amazing to begin with, so there's really not much to it. But I understand for a lot of producers, spending thousands on VSTs just doesn't make sense. But if you stick around to the end, I've got a solution for you. So what do I mean by imperfection? So back in the day, bands used to record songs in one take with every instrument playing at the same time. What that meant was the process wasn't perfect. The pitch, the timing, and the proximity to each other meant that they really couldn't control the technical outcome of the music to a certain extent. But the vibes were 100% correct. Today's music is mostly created in computers, using algorithms that crunch ones and zeros, rarely ever making mistakes. But that perfection sometimes makes the music a bit soulless. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to bring back the soul into the music and make authentic soul samples. For this sample, the first thing I did was pull up a one-shot from my Kiss the Ring multi-kit and play this. For the processing, I pulled up an EQ and rolled off some of the low end so it wouldn't clash with the bass when I added later. Next up, I pulled up one of my favorite synth keys and played this. For the processing, I kept it simple, pulled up an EQ to roll off some of that low end to make sure the bass sits perfectly when we play. The next thing I added was this melody to complement the chords. I liked the pocket that this melody was sitting in. I didn't do any processing, and that's how it sounds. Next up, I pulled up Mellotron and played this piano. For the processing, I pulled up an EQ, CLA compressor, plate reverb, and stereo shaper. I felt like the sample needed a counter melody, so I duplicated the piano and played this.
If you're enjoying this breakdown and want to create your own samples just like these, make sure you check out my Kiss the Ring multi-kit. It includes everything you need to get started. That's over 250 files and more than 2 GB of material in this pack. Click the link in the description to grab your copy today.
Next up, I pulled up a bass guitar one shot and played this. For the synth section, I wanted a different type of bass line. For that, I pulled up my GMS Moog preset, and this is what it sounds like. Finally, the last thing I added was a texture that I created by running the entire sample through one of my Portal presets, exporting it and pitching it up and blending my favorite parts onto the entire sample. And this is what it sounds like now. After doing that, I stamped every section out and pitched them up 400 semitones, and this is what it sounds like now. A lot of producers may not do this, but before I export my sample, I like to add something to the mastering chain. The first thing I add is a J37 tape machine, a CLA 76 compressor, and an API 500 EQ.